this woman that I met at the beginning of the year, and she was the president, the ex-president of Malawi. Her name is Joyce Banda. You saw us up there because she came to our celebration. And I thought, this is such a great woman, and she loves God, and she's a leader, and her story is mind-blowing, and she invites us to come over for lunch, and she tells us this very, very long story about the fact that she was the vice president, and they took the president to South Africa because he died, and nobody was telling her the president was dead. They were just going to take over the country and kill her. And I thought, what? What a story. You're living proof that God saves people for leadership. And she's overwhelmed with this story because I'm sure she's told it 10,000 times. Just that day that she was inaugurated against all odds. And sometimes when I'm texting her, and we started texting when I just said to her, I'm praying for you. And then it just kind of opened up the floodgates, and we became partners in this ministry. And she just said, I sometimes have a conference with God. And I said, what does that mean, a conference with God? And she said, I go in before him and I pray, and I say, God, if you called me to this, if you called me to help Malawi, then you'll give me the resources, won't you? You'll give me what I need to do this work. And I'm like, oh my goodness, she's my hero. Like, I'm going in this conferencing with God thing because I think that's magnificent. I'm going to do that. Yeah, just like you, just like you, just like you. And on her phone, she reaches thousands and thousands. I'm going to say it was 300,000 women in her phone just to help them plant chilies and know how to farm in a greater way. And I was like, okay, everybody's planting chilies now. Everybody planting chilies. We're going to do the thing that she's worked out. Because she's lived it, she's touched the ground, she's served the ground, she is with the people. But I realize that's not the greatest of standards. Even though that's a standard of greatness. This is what the scriptures say in 1 John 4:17. This is how love is made complete among us, so that we will have confidence on the day of judgment. In this world, we are like Jesus. Isn't that beautiful? I don't know what part is more beautiful, that we have confidence or that there's a day of judgment. We don't like that. We don't like to talk about that. But he says, you can have confidence because you're going to look just like Jesus. And that's the standard. That's our highest standard. And I think, okay, God, how do you do that? How do you do that? You do it in the practical ways of just knowing who he is, reading what he did, acting like what he acted like. And not expecting that he said, you're going to do greater things than I've ever done. You're going to do greater things. And I'm like, I don't know how greater you could just be to heal someone. Or how can I be that? How can I do that? And Jesus said, you will be just like me on the day of judgment. What a standard of greatness that we're to follow in the example of Jesus. I mean, you could come to church and I could preach anything that but it pales in comparison to helping you understand that Jesus was everything. Jesus was everything. And that he has a plan, and he has a very specific plan for your life. And he has your name written all over it. And he says, I will call out your name if you will call out mine. And I will give you a mission that will astonish you. There's a lot of jagged edges. There's a lot of stressful redirection. But don't underestimate the power of what Jesus can replicate in your life, right? And so not just doing good, not just reaching for the standard of greatness, but also to stake your territory. Like, you got to choose some place to serve. You have to choose some place. And we just go through life thinking, I don't know, let somebody else do it. This is great. I'll just go get my Slurpee from 7-Eleven, be good. Okay, I'll tip. Less road rage. And we think that's the standard, and the standard is not that at all, right? The standard is this. It happened in 2 Samuel. It's just 2 verses. It's a story. It's actually one of my favorite stories. And it's the telling of David's greatest warriors. And it says, next to him was Shammah. Shammah was the warrior. When the Philistines banded together at a place where there were a field full of lentils. Israel's troops fled from them. But Shammah took his stand in the middle of the field. He defended it, and he struck the Philistines down, and the Lord brought about a great victory. I don't know if, your whole life could be summed up in 2 verses. If my life could, that's what I want them to write. That when the enemy looked like they were taking over, and they were declaring, and that we were giving up the land, and they were giving up the territory, if the enemy thought they had the victory, and I was the only one that stayed in place, and the men and women that fought beside me, every other battle decided that day they're going to leave. Is that any less your territory? No. Majority doesn't get to rule. Majority doesn't get the victory either. You get the victory. But the victory was for the entire nation. And I don't know what was so worth a field full of lentils, right? You think it was about the lentils? Really? What a random clue. That the Philistines were the united ones, and the Israelites were the divided ones. But then there was this Shammah, and he decided, I'm going to plant my feet. I'm not going to be backed into a corner. I'm going to go right in the middle. Come on. And he fought every one of those Philistines, and it says that day he was victorious, and the Lord gave a great victory. The Lord fights hard for you to win. He is for you. He is for you. He is for you. And he wants those victories for you, not reserved just for people that we'll never know in the Old Testament, but they were great warriors. But there's going to be some days you're just going to be in there by yourself. Are you going to be honest? Are you going to have integrity? Are you going to have strength? Are you going to be defeated, dismal? I just really know that for you, for your mission in this world, it is for victory. It is for strength. It is for honor. It is for integrity. And a good life, a life well lived, is an honorable life. And if that's what you're bringing to the table, God bless you. You'll have a train of people behind you, because we are looking, and God is looking for honorable men and women to follow him. People who just won't be like whiny babies. But they know how to stake their territory. They know how to pick their ground. They know how to do something. We decided to partner with Joyce Banda, and we decided that their cyclone disaster would be our cyclone disaster. It hit, it stayed over the country of Malawi for one solid week. And as a result, we're joining with her and the Joyce Banda Foundation to build houses. We've staked our territory. We said this is not beyond us, even though it's way beyond geographically. And those are the first 10 houses you built. And they're almost done. And we committed to 100 for the families that were displaced and whose homes were washed away. Not all of your problems are real problems, but these people have real problems. Not have a farm, not have a home. The cyclone was so horrific. Pastor Joe and I were able to, and Josue were able to go to the site. And David Yanis took all the video. We were able to see the devastation. It took a river, and it moved the river way over there. And it took the rocks on the mountains, and it destroyed homes all over the place and families in those homes. And we thought, if there's something good that's in our power to do, should not we try to do something? And I need you to give the money for the rest of these homes. There's 90 of them, $7,000 a home. And just the last part of this is, if you don't really know what to do, just expect the new. Expect the new is coming, the next thing, the next new thing, and be willing to do it yourself, to create the new.